Hi, you guys. My name is Rebecca.
My name is Kim.
And I'm Ashley, and our client is Fitlot.
So we want to start off by asking you guys a pretty important question. Now, many of you have some of this question already, but can you guess where Louisiana ranks among the 50 states when it comes to obesity?
Dead last.
Like last as in
Like
we're great? Okay, well, in 2012, Louisiana was actually ranked #1 as the most obese state in the United States of America. Now it's #7, and it's tied with Mississippi for being the most unhealthy state in the whole United States. So what is our problem? Our problem is that 68.8% of Americans above the age of 20 are considered obese or overweight. And more importantly, 78,600,000 are considered obese. The difference between overweight and obese is that overweight is an excess of fat, muscle, or tissue. Obese is strictly fat. So what is the solution to this problem? The solution is Fitlot.
And Fitlot is a nonprofit organization with one mission: to build and provide free access to outdoor athletic parks and trainers. So the founder, Adam Mayer, there he is, has worked with community development programs across the nation and has turned to Louisiana, especially New Orleans, as his next project. Together with his father, Vadim, who has over 30 years of experience with human fitness and wellness, he hopes to shape up New Orleans. And they also have a really great initiative to employ veterans who come back from combat and service, and they want to train them and certify them to be physical trainers, to be present in the parks, as our target audience most likely have never had much exposure to fitness or guidance. So before their first park launches this December, they really need sponsorship. So one way that we really helped with that was creating a more cohesive brand. And through our stationery set, we really went with a clean, simple, and clear design that highlighted their great logo and the aspects of Fitlot.
So the biggest problem and solution we needed to find for Adam during this project was a sponsorship packet. The sponsorship packet is the core of his company. It's the start of any startup nonprofit company, and he needs funding to begin anywhere, like with any of his project building. So all of his branding materials, his logo, his visuals, his messaging were already established when we started this project. But everything was very cluttered, and the message was really hard to understand for all target audiences, both sponsors and communities. So our goal with this sponsorship package was to simplify the message and really get the brand core values, the brand missions, and the benefits a sponsor can receive by joining Fitlot's movement. We created two versions of this, one more generic version, and one that included the new partnership with the Pierre Thomas and the ICANN Foundation. So in addition to the sponsorship package, we created a one-page flyer announcing this new partnership with Pierre Thomas. A partnership this big is really, really important for a company like Fitlot because it's a really small company in New Orleans, and the foundation behind the New Orleans Saints and a Saints player is really huge. So it's going to really get their name out there and get the sponsorships moving. And also, in addition to this one-page flyer, we created a two-page front and back kind of flyer to go along with it, to kind of give the core brand statements and everything, so there's no disconnect between what Fitlot is and what this partnership means to Fitlot. In addition to this flyer, we also created a Facebook cover photo because their social media is just kind of getting started, but we wanted to announce to any of our followers or potential sponsors about this new partnership to show that we really are legitimate and that we're really focused on the movement created by Fitlot.
The sponsorship package and the flyer are all going to be living digitally, so we created a presentation that will live physically to help gain sponsors. This presentation has already been used successfully, and Fitlot over the past few weeks has gained a lot of sponsors, and one of them is Whole Foods. We also created an email template to follow up on any sponsors that needed more information. So the main part of our thing is the Octogym, because the gym itself has not yet been created. They needed a way to spark interest. Words and facts can get sponsors, but to get the community involved, we really needed to show them something. So this is what they had before. It was just some renderings of some of the equipment laid out, but it didn't show the scale of the gym itself. So we created two different renderings. The first one is fun, sparks interest in the community. And the second one is a vector rendering to help show more detailed parts of the gym itself. Everything from the gym can be used, including the structure itself, as shown by the pull-up bar around the top of it. And inside of the gym will be 7 to 9 pieces of equipment. They're all fully customizable, and each community gets to choose what equipment they have and the colors that they use on their equipment. The sponsors have an opportunity to place their logo on top of either the tent or on the sign next to the tent, depending on the level of sponsorship they give. Also in the tents will be the recipe cards that will help promote healthy eating and fitness, and it's going to be goes along with what the coaches will be teaching them as they work out.
So in terms of advertising, we really try to keep our target audience in mind. Adam specifically wants to target communities that are underserved and low-income communities that would not have access to pay for a monthly gym subscription or anything like that. So when we were thinking about unique ways to advertise the parks, we really tried to focus on kind of stepping away from social media or internet, many of whom would not have frequent internet access or iPhones or easy social media outlets. And we more focused on high traffic areas, public transportation, and bike racks as well. When we were looking at advertising, we tried to keep in mind positive affirmations to reach out to our community. And we really went with these two posters, one of which can be used throughout the community in schools or libraries, and another one we customized for a bus ad. And we really wanted to make sure that people that were accessing the parks, mostly on foot or on bike, there's actually one guy that picture on roller skates, whenever you need to get there. We made a bike ad to show the closest park to them, and even a little map, and kind of a nice little slogan to sort of encourage them to go move toward a healthier lifestyle. And that's our bus ad. Again, kind of focusing on public transportation, more high traffic areas to really grab the attention of visitors. And with these positive affirmations, we wanted to bring it back into the parks. These are trainer t-shirts that we created that will be in the parks, working with people and visitors, again, reaffirming positive affirmations for the community.
So this is just the beginning of the Fitlot movement in New Orleans. With these parks, people will have reduced anxiety, reduced stress, reduced depression. They're going to have less a chance to have diabetes, less chance to have any form of addiction, and they're going to overall boost their happiness and their confidence, which is going to start surrounding themselves in the community and start a movement. So you guys join us and help shape up New Orleans with Fitlot. Thank you.
That was a very strong presentation. I really liked it. And just a couple comments was, in the beginning, I noticed y'all had a photo and text. It's okay to stretch out the photo, just throw the text right on top. And so it, more focus on the visuals and that aspect. I felt like I didn't know what Fitlot was about the middle of the presentation. And I was a little bit confused about that. And y'all were talking about all these sponsors, but I was wondering what is it exactly? And then y'all showed the little gym in the middle you can go to. So maybe you can actually talk about what it is first, and the sponsors are backing it, more like a big reveal that aspect. But overall, I thought it was a great presentation.
I agree. I think that you guys started the presentation really strongly as far as presenting who the organization is, what their goals are. You capture the attention really quickly. I think one question I have, you mentioned that you guys didn't focus on internet or mobile applications because most of the demographic don't really have phones. Are they targeting a low income? Okay. I think that I wouldn't necessarily give that up yet, just because while they may be targeting low income right now, I think that considering what their objectives are, I think that those avenues are going to serve them well regardless. And there are lots of different little things that you can do to kind of help tie that in that I think would work really well. Another question that I had, I felt like the the logo and the visuals are all really strong. I think that the use of color is really vibrant. I was a little curious what the purpose was of the two renderings of the gym, like how they're going to be used. Because I saw like the sales brochure that had kind of the sketch version that kind of went with the artwork, so that made sense. I was just kind of curious what the second one was going to be used for.
Adam had initially, like when we had spoken about everything and all these like projects and everything, he was like, I really want like a loose like architectural rendering. So the like more playful was the first version, and he loved it, and he like put it in everything for now because he this week we started this project, he needed all of this, like, and so he started handing it out. So we did put that in all of the flyers and everything, and then he just said like, because this is really the like foundation of his brand as of now, because he has no actual legitimate images of it. He was like, if you guys can come up with a couple more versions just to kind of like give everyone different like views, different environments, kind of show people using the equipment. Like he kind of just wanted some different options, just if he needed to explain it further or like point to a more detailed part, because he was like super pumped about how like there's a ring around the whole gym that everyone could do pull-ups on, like little things like that. He wanted to be able to like show people up close, and the loose version kind of really didn't show that, so he wanted it to be interchangeable.
So the bulk of the pieces right now are part of the sort of the branding, the promotional kit to help them get sponsors. Have you guys looked at any of the actual, I guess, kind of functional pieces that can tie in after the fact, like moving forward? Because like some of the things I'm thinking, like tying back to the internet and mobile. One of the things that's really big for people that you know, if you're trying to get people to fight obesity and really be into exercise, one of the things that people, once they start getting into exercise, one of the things they want to do is they're going to want to track results and that kind of thing. And so that opens you up to the possibilities of tying in, you know, a mobile app for that kind of thing, and that has, you know, sharing capabilities with, you know, other people that are also in the program. Even if you want to go low tech with it, something like even a record sheet or something to keep track of your workouts and that kind of thing, to track progress, is kind of a nice fit. It ties into the program, so it's just something to think about down the line.
I would say that when I saw the illustration that you created of the space, I thought that you'd be really inventive, and you took the project and you're not relying on what they gave you. You're actually thinking proactively about what the space could be. So I really applaud that activity that you do come up with some of those inventive ideas. And I think for a lot of these projects, we're so driven to what the client needs, we don't even think about what the potential could be, what you can bring creatively to the client's needs. I think in that sense, you've solved a little bit of that, or you come across as being sort of proactive. But I think you mentioned a little bit about the donor boards, and if I was to donate, how big would my name be on that board? How can I? What's in it for me? So think about being as inventive about those needs. If you're sending stuff out to a donor, it's not. It can't just be give us your money and fill in this application form. You got to make it as innovative as she did with your name here, or what does that kind of design look like to make us want to participate? So push that a little bit further, because I think we're thinking very, very successfully for your client. Think just as successfully for your donor, and have to kind of come up with an interesting design system. I also thought in your one-page flyer, think of pushing your outlets. So, the flyer is very much okay. Here you are, here you are, here you are. It could certainly work in a magazine advertisement environment. So, don't just settle for that design being a flyer because they said they wanted a flyer. Apply it to a trade magazine, apply it to fitness magazines, apply it to other components that you think could, benefit from getting involved, because the design would fit. And you said you had a two-sided flyer, which it seems strange. It was a flyer and a two-page flyer. Flyers everywhere. Think of other unique applications to stretch your design a little bit over
One thing that I would like to say just in general about the presentation, and I think that this kind of applies actually to all three groups that went today. I feel like the way that you guys presented was a little more in line with how you would actually present something like this to a client. There was a lot more focus on the end deliverables, and you talked about how you got there, but there was a lot more focus on, you know, this is where we're at, this is what we're doing, and here's why. Where I felt like maybe the first two groups maybe stepped a little wrong is that there was a little too much focus on the process. While it's good to talk about the process, there was a little bit too much emphasis on showing how you got there and like the pieces that you guys didn't end up going with, which, to be honest, the client's really not going to want to see that stuff, so I wouldn't really spend too much time focusing on it. You know, talk about it in the sense of like how you got where you landed, and then spend a little more time talking about the individual pieces afterward, because it felt kind of like some of these, there was a lot of discussion about the process and how you got to the mark that you ended up on, and then once you got to the mark, it was okay, here's this piece, here's this piece, here's this piece, here's this piece. There wasn't a whole lot of detail as far as why you decided to do these additional pieces the way that you did. And the thing is, every component of that campaign is going to require a higher level of thought as far as, you know, what, you know, how is this going to work for the client? How are they going to make use of this? And so I think spend a little more time talking about the deliverables and how they work, why they work, that kind of thing. Not as much time on the process of like what you eliminated to get there. So I think that you guys did a really good job of kind of keeping that focus.
I'll say I like the bike hat. That was really clever. And I almost wish I could see that on the bus hat too, because it just seems so successful on the bike hat, and possibly like some other places that your target audience would be. But I thought that was really clever with the little hat.
I don't know who Pierre Thomas is. Well, I do.
We told you.
Yeah, but if I had seen the presentation for the first time, it seemed like it was a little thing that got jumped over. Like you could have, we assumed that he's a player for the New Orleans Saints, but you didn't say that. So I think you may have said. Well, it's sort of like I think more of why they chose him. You know, and so that kind of connected a little bit more, I think would have been helpful. I would agree with Corey, like, I think the overall problem that I have with the presentation is more of the design. Like, I think it could be much more refined, and the two pieces that really stand out to me that I genuinely really like is the typographic poster on the bus shelter and the mapping system for the bikes. That is really nicely done. And I think if you kind of applied a little bit more of that language to your presentation and also to some of your printed collateral pieces, you know, they're a little bit, they don't have to be boring, you know, and somehow you like nailed it with the type poster and the bike thing. It's just really nice. It's nice also to see it in the actual context. The environment is really nice. You know, it just sort of like clicked a little bit in a really special way. And then the other things felt like a little bit more of a kind of a letdown. So if there's a way to kind of carry some of that energy into the simplicity, the color, into some of the more kind of mundane pieces, I think that would be really great. I think because they're mundane, they don't need to feel that way visually. I think you can really kind of pick up the visual vocabulary of that a bit more. I would love to see more of, you're basically working with, you're basically working with low-income audience, but you're also working with another audience as well in order to get money, the benefactors. So it would be really interesting to see in like the grand scheme of things, how you work out those two target audiences. It would be really interesting to see, because I think they would be completely different, and furthermore, I think maybe to do more research, if you had more time to work on the project, maybe more research as to what is the action, like your low income audience, like what is their daily events, and where do they go, and what do they take public transportation? And so a lot of those activities, their day-to-day events, might help a little bit more in kind of figuring out, like, how do you design to that audience? I think Corey had mentioned like bus obviously, and maybe some other applications as well that you kind of consider and to kind of think about. I think your opening is awesome, like just really engaging and really interesting, really great way to kind of get me engaged and interested in your overall proposal and so forth. So I think that's probably it. One other, I think it would be really, I think you're kind of designing for the future, so it's hard to know what the results would be, but maybe there's maybe being a bit more visionary and maybe kind of exploring other, I'm sure he has competition, and if he does, what does that look like? And then maybe perhaps, like maybe there's like a community board or something where people, like there was a question about like, I just think, having access to the internet is something that you can't assume that low income, I live in a low income area. You've all been in my neighborhood. So like, it's a completely different animal in terms of designing for. So I think you can't assume anything. And I think maybe monitoring that a little bit more might give you a little bit more of a clear idea of how you would design for that community, which I think is really a difficult thing to do. So I'm just kind of going on. So I'm going to stop now. So, but overall, I think that it was a pretty strong presentation. I think the only part I thought that was lacking was maybe a stronger design application. But I think you're starting to address that through a few pieces that